Hello, it's me, Lion Game. I'm back.
Woo!
And I have an important announcement to make.
Ooh.
You might be interested to know that there are no plushes in the store. There's no plushes. Sorry, guys. I lost them all in the fire. Sorry. Anyway, Hades! Wow. Pretty fun game. Hades is pretty hard to complain about. I mean, good story, good characters, good art, good gameplay, good graphics, good dog. But you know, Hades does have one flaw. One sort of small issue that sort of cascades and ruins the whole game? Question mark? Hades has a dash. It looks like this. It goes zoom. It goes like zoom. It goes like zoom zoom. You see this dash? You see it? It's bad. It's bad. This dash is the result of a basic and juvenile mistake from the developer. So simple, in fact.
So
that I
simple.
Can't even
It's
believe
simple.
It's
It's
basic.
basic.
Not
It's
by a
only
single
basic.
guy. It's
Hey,
the baby basic.
you never forget.
To summarize, it's bad. This dash, it's just a dash. It just moves you, but it's what ruins Hades. It disrupts a lot of the fun and a lot of the replayability of the game. But to actually explain why this dash is flawed, there's a seemingly simple question that I just need to clarify. What exactly is a dash?
In this world, there are two kinds of people, dash mechanics. Ones that are adept to movement, and ones that are adept to combat. And ones that do both.
And, ones that do neither. Look, okay, dash has a million meanings, okay? It means different things in different times, okay? I can't generalize it into a simple, concise meaning, okay? Is that okay? There are infinity dashes, okay? There's platformer dashes and FPS dashes and bullet hell dashes. Fighting games have dashes, don't even get me started. And action game dashes,
You know
I listed like 5, but trust me, that's infinity. All these different dashes are dashes, but they're not the same because they serve different purposes. Comparing them directly would be like comparing a bread knife and a cleaver. They might both be knives, but they solve completely different problems. Dashes are the same way. Even although they have the same name, they serve completely different purposes. Like, platformer dashes will help you overcome obstacles, fighting game dashes help you approach, and so on. You can't compare them directly. If you want to compare dashes, you should compare within a subset, so platformer to platformer, fighting game to fighting game, which is what I'll be doing today. So I'm only going to be talking about combat dashes. Okay? Combat dashes? Is that title perhaps extremely vague? Did I perhaps come up with it right now? Is it an example of arbitrary terminology, which I never use, never in any of my videos? I'll explain it. When I say combat dash, what I mean is invincible bursts of movement that exist to dodge enemy attacks, alright? So if it goes like this, see that's a combat dash. Hades, combat dash. Dark Souls classic combat dash. This one here where you slide right through the attack, you just go, whoa, wait. That's a wombat dash, sorry. Yes, all these examples are quite distinct, but it's fair to compare them because they're all trying to do the same thing. They're all adding depth to combat. The way they accomplish this is pretty simple. Normally when an enemy attacks, you just move backwards and avoid it, but this defensive strategy makes combat very slow and tedious. The presence of a dash lets you approach and dodge at the same time, highly rewarding a more active and thoughtful playstyle. However, all it takes is one dash to validate both your offense and defense. Just one dash to turn a near death into a win. This is a very powerful combination. Very, very powerful. One could even go as far to call it very, very, very powerful. No, but seriously. Mechanics with this much upside can easily ruin a game, because when there's one button that does everything, and it doesn't have proper drawbacks, there's no reason to think. You'll win just as easily by spamming it over and over, over and over, over and over. so there's no reason to actually put in effort. In the real world, there's no cure for such degeneracy. But in video games, it's pretty easy. This sort of mindless mashing happens when a mechanic has a lot of benefits without many downsides. Too much reward without enough risk. In this case, we're discussing dashes, which are inherently very rewarding. So you gotta be thinking, how do I make this risky, but still keep it interesting? There's a lot of ways to do this, but the most common one is the dodge roll. Rolls are functionally identical to dashes up until here. From this point onwards, you are still in the rolling animation, but no longer have any invincibility. What was supposed to be your escape option becomes a trap that you've locked yourself in, left only to hope that you didn't put yourself in a riskier scenario than the one you were trying to escape. This simple addition of risk turns the roll from a button you can mindlessly spam into a high commitment tool, which can easily kill the player after a single poor use. And you might be thinking, like, wow, that's a harsh downside. But actually, well, yeah, it is harsh. Yeah, it's quite, harsh, yeah. With this addition, rolling mindlessly results in death, but the roll is still so useful that you can't afford not to use it. Now the only option the player has, if they want to win, is to think actively, to consider every option at every opportunity and exploit them all, to learn and master the systems of the game, and to become its king and god, not only in the diegetic sense, but of a far more literal nature. To win is no longer to simply reach the ending. It means to lose and die, time and time again, and yet cling on, spurred by some abstract purpose to continue, even as you are made a fool. And when, finally, you reach the top, it is not done as a mere victor, but as a conqueror, relentless in the pursuit of glory. That was kind of overdramatic. Let me try again. I'll just go one more. By adding risk to the dash, the game is just like monkey mode. Monkey. To summarize, when a game mechanic has a lot of reward without appropriate risks, it leads to mindless, spammy gameplay, because you can just use the one overpowered technique over and over again. To solve this, you just add more risks, and then the mechanic becomes thoughtful again. Make sense? Alright, I've spent like 10 hours talking about rolls in a video about Hades. I think it's time to... I'm gonna get right to the point here. No messing around. So dumb. The dash in Hades is really bad. And by that I mean it's too good. But it's bad that it's there. So but in terms of power, calling it bad is wrong. It's good. But I mean it's bad. But I mean like good bad. You know? This Hades dash is exceptionally powerful, even among dashes. It's fast, it goes far, you can chain them together, you can attack during a dash, and you can augment this dash with upgrades. Why is it so overtuned? What's it compensating for? Even for more moderate dashes, you had to be very heavy-handed with the downsides in order to achieve balance. I mean, just look at how extreme the roll is. This Hades dash is way stronger than the normal, so you're gonna have to be way more extreme with the downsides. Now, I've gotten my assistant to compile a list of all the downsides of the Hades dash. Let's read through this list and see how Hades achieves balance. Downside number 1. After completing a dash, there is a short period in which you cannot dash again. During this time, you're still able to move and attack. Simply no dash. Okay, there's a limitation on dash spamming. That's good. That means although the dash is still powerful during its downtime, the player has to be careful to survive without it. If you use the dash without thinking, you might not have it when you need it most. Reminds me of the Shade Cloak in Hollow Knight. Simple, eloquent, great design. Well done, Hades. Oh, hold on. There's some small print. Hold on. This period of no dash lasts about half a second. Half a second? What? Only half a second? That doesn't sound like very much. Let's see what that looks like. That's nothing. That's not a limitation. What do you think that's gonna do? What's that gonna change? You know what? Never mind. That's just the first one. If we just read the rest of the list, we'll find something more limiting. Let's keep going, okay? There's no more list? Oh no! Oh no! Yeah, so the Hades dash is completely broken. Nothing in Hades ever punishes you for dashing, so you can just spam it and win. Like, seriously, nothing. Even if you dash directly onto a spike, you can just dash again and take no damage. Which is dumb, but... Obviously, the spamming would be problematic for any game, but it's particularly egregious in Hades because Hades is a roguelike. Roguelikes are a genre of game where each time you play, you're given a random combination of items to use and enemies to defeat. Since it's random, you're always in for a fresh experience, no matter how long you've played for, which is why people can dump thousands and thousands and thousands of hours into roguelikes. The content has been structured in such a way that there's always some novelty for the player to explore. Sounds fun, right? Sounds like a good time. Sounds like, you know. Well, that's the standard roguelike experience. And, well, Hades is not standard. Now, Hades does have a lot of different ways to overcome challenges, all of which are interesting, but it also has the dash. You've not got any reason to explore these interesting tools, because just spamming dash is enough to get the job done. It doesn't matter if it's the first enemy, the final boss, or even Jeremy. The most efficient response is just to mash. So that's what you end up doing. Against every enemy, no matter who they are, no matter what weapon you're using, no matter what boons you have, context becomes irrelevant in the face of the overpowered dash. Every single enemy is the same, so every single run is the same. Every single time you play the game, it's just the same. There's nothing more than just... Let me just clear something up here. When I say it's the same every time, I'm talking about casual Hades. Dash spamming is not a perfect strategy. You take quite a lot of damage while doing it. It's just that the game is forgiving enough that it doesn't really matter. It's not perfect, but it's good enough to win. However, when you start raising the difficulty, every mistake gets far more costly, and so a flawed strategy like dash spamming isn't good enough anymore. Since these high difficulty modes don't have dash spamming, it's quite a lot more interesting than the normal game, but the player is never encouraged to play these modes. High heat is optional, and there's no mechanical reward. Hell, there's not even an achievement. The game doesn't incentivize you to try it, so most people's experience with Hades is contained just to the dash spamming easy stuff, without ever even knowing that there's more to the game. And why should they know? The game never shows you it. Every single enemy is the same, so every single run is the same. Every single time you play the game, it's just the same. There's nothing more than just... And without changes, Hades 2 will be the same. If you look at the trailer for Hades 2, you can see that the dash is coming back pretty much, well, I was going to say unchanged, but it's even faster than before. And it goes further. Maybe it also doubles your damage and heals you. I don't know, it might as well at this point. If they don't add proper limitations to this dash, the gameplay experience of Hades 2 is going to be the exact same as before. Even if they add 10 weapons, 20 bosses, 1,000, you know, it doesn't really matter because the optimal way to play will still be... What's the point of making a new game if you just play it exactly the same? It wouldn't even be difficult to implement proper drawbacks. The problem with the dash is that you can spam it mindlessly, so all you have to do is add some system to prevent that. You could take stamina from Dark Souls, and when it runs out, you can't dash for maybe 30 seconds, which means the player has to be very careful for when they choose to dash. It's an easy change to make, but now that dash spamming is gone, the only way to win is by thinking, learning, improving, and having fun. Certainly a radical concept, I know. Now, should you expect to see this kind of change in Hades 2? No. Of course not. What are you talking about? Just make sure guys, you have your potatoes ready for December 6th. December 6th is when it comes out. Potatoes, yeah. For mashing. What? You want more? After all that, are you sure? I mean, all right then. I always wonder when I'm watching videos like, how long does it take to make a good video? And while I don't think this video is good, I can certainly tell you how long it took to make it. In total, this video took 220 hours. Buddy, I wish I was lying. I know that this is not a reasonable amount of time for a video this short and bad. This comes out to 136 hours in the script, 43 hours on the voice recording, 40 hours on the edit, and 1 hour on this sappy ending. If the next video takes this long, it'll be done on the 22nd of August, but it shouldn't. The next video should come out much sooner than that for a number of reasons. Firstly, the script writing time for this video is largely inflated because I rewrote the script from scratch 3 times. I did this because as I was writing, I came up with a new, better process of doing it, which made all the old work worthless. I'll be going into the next video with this new method in hand, so it shouldn't take nearly as long. Secondly, YouTube is currently what I'm doing full time, and it might surprise you, but I actually need money, and YouTube does not like videos that come out this slow. I'm gonna make many videos alongside these bigger ones so that I have a more consistent upload schedule. How long will a mini video take? I don't know, hopefully shorter. I don't know. I'd ask you to subscribe, but if you've made it this far, you're already subscribed, so I'll ask you to leave a comment, please. And if you do, be kind. I kind of don't be kind. Don't be.